Scott, where are you? So we answer that question.
Oh, Orange County. Sorry.
All right, guys. So welcome to another Mortgage Coach Tuesday interview. This could be a very special interview. I've got 4 amazing mortgage professionals. I'm going to kick it off by interviewing Craig Strent. Craig, I'm not going to go into the interview quite yet, but if you could just tell everybody where you're at and a little bit about what you're going to talk, and then we'll bring you in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, I'm in the Washington, D.C. market, and I'm going to talk about generating a sustainable business long-term by working with financial advisors.
I love that. We're going to close out with Scott Nicholson. But Scott, tell everybody where you're at and what you're going to cover in today's call.
Orange County, California. I'm going to cover strategic, be a niche, and then we're going to turn it into gather leads, lead gen to the direct consumer. Good,
using websites. And then let's go to Larry B-Tag. Larry, where are you coming to us live out of, and what are you going to talk about?
Great to be here, Dave. You know, I am 1 hour west of Chicago in a town called St. Charles, and I'm going to be talking about how to use Facebook organically without paying for it to go ahead and utilize that to get more referrals.
Yeah, and how many referrals are you getting every week or every month?
I'm going to tell you we probably get 1 to 2 applications per week.
Yeah, I did an interview a few months ago with Larry where he talked about how he's generating $100,000 a year in commissions using Facebook Organic. So it should be cool. Be ready to check that out. And then Michael Harrington, you're going to go second after Craig. Where are you coming to us live from?
Coming to you live from George Bush Park here in Houston, Texas. I just pulled over, and we're going to be talking about how to take your past clients and really generate more business for your real estate agents and have some golden eggs to give to them as referrals.
Love that. Love that, guys. So I am coming to you live out of Houston. I am traveling today. I am working out of a WeWork in Houston. Before we start our first interview, I just want to make sure we go through the Mortgage Coach Facebook page, shine a light on some new stuff. You know, this is a promotion for today's call, and my inspiration for this is just it's just never been more clear to me. And I love the word sustainable that Craig used, that if you want to have a sustainable, local, referral-based mortgage practice, you need to get consumer first. Now, that doesn't mean you don't want to have great realtor relationships. Doesn't mean you won't want to have different kinds of partnerships, but we need to get to the consumer first. And we need to get in this term, like whenever I do consumer direct, everybody goes, oh, that means I buy leads, you know, or that means some type of purchase lead model. So the term I'm going to use in the mortgage coach community is consumer first lead strategies. That's what today's call is all about. I do want to shine a light on a few things that are in our announcement section. So in the announcement section today, or not today, this week, I just posted an article from an interview I did about a month ago. Shayla Gifford is an amazing mortgage professional, closed over $100 million a year in volume. And she's just a great coach and leader to a lot of mortgage professionals. This is an interview where I interviewed her on her perfect pre-approval experience. I just think this is a must watch for everybody in the mortgage coach community. She focused on a in-office pre-approval experience, and she crushed it. I wrote an article on it. Must watch for the mortgage coach community. I posted this post from Josh Meadow in the group because this is a great example of where Josh used a total cost analysis to help a family make a decision on refinancing. In this particular total cost analysis, the way he delivered the advice, like refi and then prepay your mortgage. Of course, Craig, I know you're going to say it could have been even more than $100,000 or $300,000 in savings if they would have reinvested it. But he said, hey, prepay your mortgage. And then he turned it into marketing. He took that TCA, he recorded a 2-minute video, and he created a great marketing piece on Facebook. So make sure you guys study this, check it out. You know, this is the last day for the testimonial contest. So reminder to everybody, if you are promoting testimonials on social media, if you put one of them in here and you win, you're the best testimonial for this month. You're getting an iPad, you're getting earbuds, and you're getting an Apple Watch. So we have a big giveaway at the end of the month for the best testimonial. And so today's the last day. Check it out. We're going to announce the winner on Friday. And Denise Donahue is currently the front runner. I did invite Denise to this call. She couldn't make it, but the way she is going consumer first with first-time homebuyers and the way she's using Mortgage Coach, Rep versus Own, to go consumer first with first-time homebuyers in her market is huge. Listen to the interview I did with her. I'll put it in comments and check it out. Last but not least, we did announce and roll out our new platform, the Advice Engine. So we were looking for customer feedback on that. So if you have had some great customer feedback, please post that in our Facebook group. So with all that said, if everybody could control their mute, we're getting some background from someone. No, it's not Craig. So good thing, Craig Strett, it's not you. If you could turn on your video, Craig, and let's start a little interview on how you're going consumer first and with financial advisors.
Can you
Craig
see me,
Strett.
Dave?
I can.
Okay. I think some of my team has the link as well, so that's why you're seeing a lot of Craigs there.
Oh, you're that guy. Gave out the link. This is the panelist link. This is like the VIP
Yes.
backdoor, brother.
I don't do
right.
technology, Dave. I do mortgages.
I love that. Well, it's funny you say that, but you also do Mortgage Coach really well. And so you're very strategic about the technology that you use.
There you go.
There you go. All right. So Craig, let's for about 10 minutes interview you on consumer first, financial advisors. And why don't we just start with why? Why have you made that such a focus of yours?
I mean, why not? That's the part I would ask you, is that the mortgage is the largest liability. It's a critical piece of the financial plan. So wouldn't it just be a natural fit that the person managing the finances for the individual would also be actively managing that mortgage? And most financial advisors don't have that skill set, and therefore it just makes complete sense that they would partner with someone that could manage the liability side of the balance sheet.
I'm with you. I mean, I came to that same conclusion back in my day that financial advisors were just a gold mine. Why do you think more loan officers don't have that as a channel of business? What's your take on that?
Fear and education. I think that most loan officers know how to go and talk to a realtor or potentially to a customer, but they just don't know how to go talk to an advisor. They don't know the specific talking points for the advisor. They don't know what the advisor is looking for in terms of a mortgage person. And then most importantly, they don't know what information to present to the advisor. What you present to a realtor is very different than what you present to an advisor when trying to generate business. So it's a little bit more of a technical sale. It's a little bit more of a relationship-based sale. Not that realtor relationships are not relationship as well, but it's a different type of relationship in the technical aspect. And I think you have to have some knowledge and some training ahead of that meeting to really do a great job there. And so I think that a lot of loan officers are, not necessarily putting in that time and energy to do that, or they may have some fear or feel intimidated by approaching the advisors, as they do operate very different in the real estate community.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. And I also think that some people just don't realize just how vast the rewards are. Like, you can really generate a lot of referrals, get a lot of business with that as one of your top 2 or 3 channels. So if you don't mind sharing the kind of results you've gotten from the channel, and if you do know other advisors that are going after that channel, I think people just don't realize, wow, there's a lot of business there.
There's a lot of business there. I mean, I've been doing this since '94 and going after advisors since about '99. And it's, next to my database, which constantly comes back again and again, which is wonderful. Advisors are by far my #1 source. I get multiple referrals a week, particularly in refinance environments. People think that advisors are only good in refinance environments. It's not true. In purchase environments, they're great, particularly for move-up buyers and for people helping their kids buy their first home. There's a lot of opportunity there. But certainly in a time like now where rates are low, I mean, think about it. If you're a homeowner and you're thinking about refinancing and saving money on your mortgage, who do you call? Do you call your realtor that sold you the house 5 years ago? Probably not. You probably don't. Do you call your mortgage guy who did the mortgage for you? Well, that mortgage guy or gal, unfortunately, probably has not done a great job keeping in touch with you. We know that 9 out of 10 people forget the name of their mortgage originator just 12 months after they buy their home. So, basically, who are they going to ask? Well, those people that have financial advisors, that's who they're going to ask. Remember, people don't pay their realtor for advice. People pay their financial advisor for advice. So they're going to naturally reach out to them to all things financial and ask them what they should do about their mortgage. And when their financial advisor says, call Craig or call Scott or call so-and-so, they're going to do that. And they're likely to call just that person and no one else and follow the advice of their buyer, because people follow advice that they're paying for, generally speaking.
I love that. So I'm going to just show on the screen real quick a poll that I launched yesterday. And it just said, what are a few of your top lead sources other than realtors? So we don't want to know about realtors. Past clients came in first. Over 100 people voted for that. That is fantastic to hear. And I do think that is the number one most important channel for every referral-based local originator. Your past clients are your gold. And hopefully you're one of those ones that you are the captain of the wealth team. Your clients call you. But organic, Facebook came in second. Financial advisors came in third. So obviously this is a channel. Let's talk about how. I mean, I've interviewed you before. Everybody listen to this. I'm going to put a link to the last interview I did with Craig. And it was an incredible call because he broke down how he talks about a 30-year versus a 15-year, but he did it in a way that's financial advisor centric. Like any financial advisor that would see the way Craig talks about a 30 versus a 15, they'd be like, this is my guy, you know? But knowing that the way you use Mortgage Coach is a piece of how you build value for agents, what are some other things other than Mortgage Coach that you do to add value and to approach financial advisors?
Certainly, Mortgage Coach is a critical piece. I mean, I think that if you're going to go in to meet with a financial advisor, as I said earlier, it's a different type of meeting. And when I go into a meeting with financial advisors, I bring a presentation book virtually and in hard copy. And this covers, I bring things like specific case studies. So I will break out a case study on 30 versus 15, on a move-up buyer, on different PMI structures, fixed versus ARM, and I will show the financial planning implications of putting 50% down versus 20% down and investing the difference. So I will show very specific, I'm sorry about that. I will show very specific case studies and take a technical approach to the money piece. So I think you have to have some background. I do have a CMPS designation. I think that's important because you learn taxation and estate planning and other financial planning considerations related to a mortgage. I think you have to have great presentation software. And I never present ever, not ever, without a Mortgage Coach presentation, no matter how complicated or basic it is. That's what I do. And I think the advisors are generally blown away by this because what I do is I do present to the customer, I go edge live, and then generally I will make a video and send it to the advisor afterwards saying, hey, Bob, thanks for referring Jane and Jim. Here's what we covered. And it's just so much more than what they've seen from other mortgage people. And that's why I think it's you know, somewhat of a layup in some ways. Because most advisors have not had great experience with mortgage people. And when you come with technical knowledge and great presentation software, it just solidifies that.
So guys, I'm going to keep this pretty quick on these interviews. I wanted to introduce some ideas. I think past customers should be your number one. I think every referral-based local loan officer should have a financial advisor channel. You know, like it may be one advisor. Personally, I'd have it be a lot, and I'd have it be more than just kind of one-legged stool. But if you're a local referral-based loan officer and you don't have some intentional relationship with financial advisors, you just don't have a strong stool to your mortgage practice. So a homework assignment I have for everybody watching this, I'm going to show it on my screen, is the last interview I did with Craig. I already shared a link in this chat. So you guys can see it right there. In this interview, he not only, shared some strategies, but he got into a case study. He showed a case study, and I hope you guys write that down. When you do go to meet with a financial planner, you need to have some case studies. You need to have some stories where your advice made a difference for a family, and you tell that story in a way that's both emotionally connecting and in a way that's logical. And Mortgage Coach is a great way to do that. So Craig, before we wrap up your session on today's call, any last thoughts, anything you want to make sure you tell the Mortgage Coach community?
Yeah, it's a process. So, you're not going to go and say, okay, financial advisors, that's it, and then get the business tomorrow. You should take the steps to educate yourself first, because you don't want to, you only get one chance at that first meeting. So Don't rush out there and just go, oh, I know 5 advisors, I'll go meet with them tomorrow, and not have a plan for how you're going to approach it, what you're going to bring, what you're going to say, the scripting you need, the case studies, all of that. You've got to do some prep work first. You don't want to throw that one at the wall because you won't get another shot at it. But if you do call a financial advisor with the right scripting, they will be much more open to an in-person meeting than a realtor. And keep in mind that you can refer them back plenty of business as well. And that's primarily because you will be creating new cash flows for them to invest on behalf of the client.
I love it. So folks, in our community, we have what I wrote, my playbook back in the day called the Art and Science of the Referral. That was the name of it. Yeah. So check that out. That's how I did it. And then Craig, I know you do some limited coaching of loan officers on this strategy. If someone did want to reach out to you or connect with you, would you mind putting a link down below? And do you care whether people connect with you from this community on LinkedIn or Facebook?
No, that's fine. Just if you're interested in learning more about that, they can certainly call me. I do that on a very limited sort of specific basis.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thank you, Craig, for jumping in here. I know you said you had to go, so you can jump anytime. But if you do want to stay and ask others questions, feel free to stay on the call. Real quick, does anybody on the call, any of the leadership on the call, have any quick questions for Craig? Unmute yourself if you do.
Well, I was just going to say a few comments. I didn't know Craig until I watched that video you guys did. Wow, that is a very must high on your list watch video. He's fantastic, almost intimidating. If I was in his market, I'd be intimidated. So a couple of things is he's created that niche. He shows the software, so it shows here's what the benefits are, and he tells those stories and he has those examples so they can be relatable if they're in another space. And so I think that's critical. I mean, here's what's cool, and I would reach out to them if that's your space. One, commit it. And then there's nobody in this space. Josh dropped the nugget the other day is go where most loan officers don't go. And that's a space financial planners, they don't go because they're intimidated.
That's right.
Go get coached.
That's right.
So there's another.
And at 5'3", I'm very intimidating.
And I tell you what, man.
Keep it webinar.
Yeah. And that is one thing, guys, Craig does very well. I'm going to pin him down for another interview sometime. I don't know. I don't want to put him on the place, but within the next couple months, we're going to have Craig on an interview, and I'm going to be interviewing him on how he walks the financial planner through those case studies. And I'm also going to be walking him through how he does live, because he shares the live experience and does a really good job of that. So Craig, thank you for making time. And if you have any more questions, let us know. And then, sound good? All right, guys. So let's bring in our another consumer first strategy. And I literally think I could interview most of our top loan officers. I could have interviewed Craig on this and he would have killed it. But I had breakfast with Michael Harrington this morning at Snooze. By the way, anybody who has a Snooze in their market, great place to have breakfast. We had breakfast at Snooze here in Houston. And I was just asking him, how's it going? You know, where are you getting your business? And with a lot of passion, a lot of confidence, he talked about how the business he's getting from his past customers. So, Michael, if you could join me on the screen here, and I got some questions for you, buddy. So first of all, let everybody know what kind of production you're doing, because you're killing it, man. You close like 20 loans a month or so.
Yeah, we just closed more than 4 million this month, and we're on track for 5.6 for next month.
So 20 plus loans. I mean, one of America's most successful producers by far. What are your top channels of business? You know, top 2 or 3 channels of lead source?
So obviously real estate agents for me, about 60% of our business comes from real estate agents. A very small percentage comes from business relationships. But I was telling you earlier that 32% of our business comes from past clients and past client referrals. And one of the things we talked about this morning is how do you give referrals back to your real estate agents? Well, if you're getting a majority of your business back from your past clients, especially if it's a brother, sister, aunt, uncle from that entity, you're able to refer that business off to your top channels. And so I'm pretty careful about having a top 20 list of real estate agents I work with and not like a top 100. So that way when I'm referring back, I'm not getting, people like, hey, why aren't you referring me business? Usually I'm able to spread the wealth. We referred 8.2 million last year in business to our real estate agents.
So first of all, guys, did you catch that? He knows how much business he referred to his real estate agent. So I would throw that challenge out to anybody watching this. Do you have a consumer first strategy? And past clients is a great one. Let's just say that's number one. And do you know how many referrals you gave out to real estate agents? I know that's one thing that really hit me and struck me when I I interviewed Wally Elderberry earlier in the year. And he was like, that's my number one priority this year is it wasn't about how many loans he was going to close. It was about how many loans he's going to give, through his past clients and his other strategies. That was like his number one goal. So walk us through your past client retention program. Like, what are the things that you do to stay in front of your past clients and to consistently get business? And then I want to close out with, how do you refer? What's that look like? What's that sound like?
Okay, absolutely. So the way we stay in touch, obviously we use a lot of Total Expert through Guaranteed Rate. We've got a lot of touch points with the clients that is automated. And then we've got touch points where I call 5 to 10 people at least every 2 days, depending upon whether it's a Tuesday or a Friday. I usually reach out to past clients, especially if they're in the local area. And especially if I have a good relationship with them, I just go ahead and make the phone calls. I can tell you right now, I've got 4 clients that are closing in August that are past clients of mine, totaling about 1.7 million of the closings that I just mentioned earlier. We have a potential $1.4 million refinance. I just closed him only 8 months ago, but he was on an adjustable rate mortgage, a specialty product. And so I tracked his loan because he's on an ARM, and he's actually already ready to refinance because the rate is about 1.5 points lower. At that size of a loan, you're talking about a $600 difference per month, which is significant.
Love that.
Yeah.
So, by the way, Eddie, I just noticed Eddie is listening to this and he asked for some scripts. Eddie, if you could be specific on what scripts you want. I wish I would have seen that when I was interviewing Michael, Craig, when I was interviewing Craig. But I will be interviewing Craig again. And if you have specific scripts you want from Craig, let me know down below. So in terms of Mortgage Coach and annual reviews, I know that is something you do. If you could just kind of walk through what it sounds like when you do a review with a client.
So, I mean, let's go to like what the script would be if I was talking to a past client. So the $1.4 million deal, technically I switched companies from prime lending to guaranteed rate. So I don't have access to his old stuff. So all I ask any past client is just send me your latest mortgage statement, take a snapshot of it with your phone and send that over to me right away. And then I immediately go into Mortgage Coach and work up a side-by-side total cost analysis of their current mortgage versus a new mortgage. And then of course I throw some options in there next to it. But my very first question to the client is, hey, do you have a way of taking a picture from a screen or a picture of your last mortgage statement that you have there at the house? I always call in the evening hours because then they've got their mortgage statements usually readily available. I don't call during the day. I use my evening hours. Like I usually take about 2 to 3 hours every week to just go ahead and call past clients and figure out who's going to be the best object to go after. You can usually use any of your database systems if you've got interest rates in there to figure out which interest. You can even use Optimal Blue to look up people's rates if you used the system originally to do a shopping scenario with the client. So you can usually look up what the rates are, figure out who do you want to go after first. Unfortunately I do this, but I know it's not the right thing to do. I go after the highest loan amounts with the highest rates. I go straight down the line and create a list of who I'm going to call for refinances. I see a lot of people doing more refinances than me, even at my own company. So it's got me challenged quite a bit. I realized that I have not capitalized this summer on refinances as much as I should have. But the only way I would ever do it is with my TCAs. I don't see how in the world you'd use anything besides total cost analysis to show people a before and after picture of what they're going to be looking at.
So I love the fact that you're getting the client engaged at the very beginning in a multi-sensory experience. You're like, hey, pick up your phone, take a picture of your screen or your statement. Because I know loan officers do that, but usually it's an ask via email, but it's so easy to just take a picture. And then you're getting the client engaged in a mobile relationship with you. Next thing you know, you're sending them a total cost analysis. You're walking them through it on their mobile device. So I think that's a good move. If anybody else on this call is either one doing that, you're like, of course, that's what everybody does. Let me know. And if you got that as a takeaway, like that was a little nugget that, oh, I've been asking people for their statement, but yeah, getting a picture, I like that. That's a good idea. If you think that's a good idea, let us know in comments. So Michael,
in regards to the one question that you had before about what I do with the realtor referrals. So if I get an ability from a past client or a past client relationship or financial planners, because they always refer the best high-end clients. I've got 3 clients I'm working with this very week that I gave to real estate agents. If you were to ask me how did I pick and choose, if you were to ask me how I pick and choose which realtor to choose from of the top 20 I have to refer business to, I really try to map up personalities. But what I'll do is I'll take a snapshot of the text message that I send the referral to the realtor. I keep those images for my presentation. So in my presentation to a realtor, I'll show them specific referrals that I've given through text message or email, so they don't think I'm full of BS when I say I give business away to my agents. I literally have about 25 snapshots of me giving either, hey, I got someone in New York looking for a house, and I'm going to refer that through an agent, because we can't take referral fees, guys. But guess who can take a referral fee? Another real estate agent. So I'll give my referral to a realtor to refer through email to an agent in Dallas, San Antonio, or Austin. That agent in Austin hopefully will refer me business, but if they don't, I still referred it through my agent here locally, and they get a 25% referral fee for referring it to an agent locally in that area. So you can find creative ways to really refer business to your agents, even taking them out to builders with you. Like if you know builders and you want to take them out with you in the car, you can show agents exactly how to go out and make sales calls to the builder clients, because then they want to build a relationship with builders. So you're doing something for them that's almost like a referral source. I did that with one of my top agents. She ended up landing the entire neighborhood, and she threw a huge party for that neighborhood for the Christmas time. That party had 62 vendors. I mean, it all started with me just calling on builders with her in that neighborhood. And then she ended up doing a humongous fundraiser that raised $90,000 for a nonprofit organization in that neighborhood. So it all started with me just putting her in my car, taking her out to the subdivision, introducing her to a few sales agents, and she's been a client for life for me, like realtor wise.
Of course. I mean, you created an experience that she'll never forget and an ongoing source of business. So killing it, brother. I love what you brought. Craig Stritt, are you still on the call? If you are, turn on your video real quick. Here he comes. So Craig, I can tell that you're still listening in. Sorry to put you on a spot like that, but I can't help myself. Any questions or comments? And I do have a question for you, Craig, before you go.
I mean, I think the idea of referring back is obviously tremendous. And I feel like, to my niche, to the financial advisor community, you're absolutely referring back regularly because you're generating the leads initially from the advisor. And then oftentimes there is a move up in process, and they don't have a good agent. They weren't happy with the agent first time around. So while I do some realtor business, I actually refer, certainly by commission level, I refer a lot more business to agents than I get from them. And that actually helps me get in the door with new agents, particularly in new areas, because I can demonstrate that. I actually keep a list. I could demonstrate what I've referred out to realtors just based on my financial advisor referrals.
Love that. And Craig, before you go, I've had like 3 different people just want me to get a financial advisor script from you. So, would you mind just letting us hear what it sounds like if you were calling? And it may be how you would do it, or it may be how you would lead loan officers to do it. But what does that first conversation sound like with a new advisor?
Yeah, you don't need to, and you should not be necessarily going cold, because it's so easy to get warm intros to financial advisors. I mean, basically, just start with your network. Ask everybody you know, do they have an advisor? The answer is yes. Do you like them? If the answer is yes, would you make a warm introduction for me to the advisor? When they do that, you can just reply all and jump in with your script to get the meeting, and I can give you that. But the advisor who's getting paid by that client is not going to say no to the meeting. Remember, advisors get typically 1% of assets under management a year. They're not going to say no to your meeting if their client's asking you to meet with them. If they do not have an advisor, then it's really a layup, because now you're in a position to refer them to someone maybe that you haven't met yet, that you can sort of use and say, hey, I've got somebody for you, and I have other people like this too. Would you like to get together and see if you're a good fit for my clients and I can refer to you moving forward? So those are both really easy. You don't need to go cold really for quite a while. You can also join the FPA and other places like that where you can meet warm advisors. So you don't need to go cold at all.
Got it. But if you did go cold, what would it sound like? You know, or like if it was just a first conversation and you were referred by someone, just give us the first minute of how you'd start that dialogue.
I'd say my name is Craig Strand from Apex Home Loans, and my niche in the mortgage area is in the area of mortgage planning. I specialize in mortgages under management and managing the liability side of the balance sheet. And I'd like to meet with you for a little bit to talk about how I can help your clients create new asset flows for you to manage and for you to preserve the existing asset flows you have and are managing from leaving the account using mortgages properly.
Boom. That was good. I'm glad I came back to you, brother. Thank you for that. Yeah. And guys, my script back in the day when I did this, I was not nearly as polished as Craig, but you know, we're talking 20 years ago. I would just call people up. Hello, this is Dave Savage with Excalibur Mortgage. We specialize in helping financial planners and their clients with real estate financing needs. Do you ever have clients that ask you about real estate financing? And then if they were like, you know, I could tell whether it's wah, wah, I don't want to talk to this guy, or like, oh yeah, that comes up. Now, I'm with Craig. I do not recommend cold calling and doing that, but you could do that and make a lot of money. Trust me. And you could do what Craig did, and you can make a lot more money a lot faster and a lot easier. But don't overthink this, guys. Don't overthink this.
The cold calling part, in my opinion, Dave, would be working, you know, harder rather than smarter. So I
agreed. Agreed.
And I will bring it, in fairness, I will bring it full circle back to you. I started going after advisors, having listened to many years to you and to Tim Brahim and so. So some of these guys that introduced me to this idea of going after advisors, and over the last 20 years, you guys have all been out of the business, but I've sort of just honed those scripts over and over and over again. But the base level knowledge came from you guys many, many years ago. So I'm certainly thankful for that.
Well, and I am grateful for you, brother. So, all right, guys. So Craig, you killed it. Michael, you crushed it. 2 great nuggets. Take a picture of that statement. Add the referrals that you give, pictures to that, to your other clients. Michael, any last words or comments before we bring in Larry and drill him on organic Facebook?
Just that I still remember exactly what your scripts look like. Dave, I still have that. I saved that PDF through all the different computers I've gone through with different companies. I never lost that marketing piece. I think it was about 22 pages long, if I remember correctly. And your scripts are in there. And you're right, they're not as polished as Craig's, but I'm not a polished guy, so I don't know if I could handle Craig's dissertation there. That was pretty awesome.
Well, listen to it, make it yours.
Yeah. Hey, listen, just one little nugget about financial planners and bankers. I mean, my biggest referral when I was 23 years old came from just a simple thank you card I sent to a banker. And then she sent me a thank you card at the same time. And I built a relationship with a lady from Frost Bank. And that relationship was a $1.2 million refi, an $897,000 purchase, a $1.4 million renovation deal. So back then, when you're 23 years old, you're getting those size transactions almost 20 years ago. That was like, I mean, that set my world on fire. That was back before you had caps. So, you know, you were making some serious dough, and it all started with a thank you card to a banker. And so it just freshens. I mean, if people are wanting to increase their loan size, which increases your pay, which decreases the amount of units you have to process to get the same amount of paycheck, you have to think, well, who do I go after? Well, who works with financial planners, but very, very capable people that make a lot of money. I mean, people that work with financial planners usually are making pretty good money. Therefore, they have nice size homes, they have nice size loans. So if you're wanting to just increase your average loan amount by $30,000 to $50,000, the easiest way to do that is financial planners, CPAs, and bankers. And don't leave bankers out. I mean, I've got 4 solid relationships. I've got lunch this week with a banker that I've had a relationship with for 5 years. He does the construction loans, but a lot of banks don't do mortgages. And so they send me every one of their bank deals, including their own personal loans. So make sure you stick bankers in there with it should be bankers, financial planners, and CPAs. Like you should include all 3 in there, honestly.
Love it. Love it. So guys, this call is golden. Time to get to Larry. So Larry B-Tag, my interview with you was awesome a few months ago. walk us through what you're doing with Facebook organic and then share the results. And folks, if you guys have questions, post them in Facebook Live. We'll either get to them live or we'll get to them after the call. And if there are questions like, all the questions that came in for Craig, I'm going to be asking Craig, hey, can we do another interview? Stay tuned for that, Craig. But Larry, what are you doing with Facebook?
Well, before we get to there, I got to tell you, I was writing down so many notes and texting myself so many things from this call. Craig, incredible. I mean, he's so polished. And Michael, you're a stud. And I got to tell you, I love what you do. I feel like I'm a Nazi about referring back. And the last 2 years, I've been referring 20, 22, and 20 deals that have been able to go out to realtors in 18, 17, and 16. I don't know what my numbers are this year as far as giving back. I have a spreadsheet, but it's such a great way to go ahead and leverage a relationship. So, Dave, thanks for putting these two guys together. Michael, I can listen to you all day, and I was smitten by the clouds in the back of your sunroof as you're going by there. I was watching you, and you got the sunroof going on. You got beautiful weather out there. So thanks for having me. I've been speaking, a lot on this lately, and Facebook's going great. And there's so many things to say about Facebook, and it's how wide do you want me to go? How deep do you want me to go? Because when I say how wide and how deep, they said that 72% of Americans right now are on Facebook every single month. And you think about the youth with the millennials, they live on Snapchat and Instagram, but I will tell you that they're now hopping on Facebook and they're treating it as a tree of life. So they're having their life recorded on there, and they hop on to see what's going on with their dad, me, their grandparents.
Well, let's do this, because let's assume that everybody that we're going to connect with in the next 10 minutes, they get it. We're doing Facebook. Here's what I know. You're generating $100,000 plus a year in commissions with organic Facebook. So first of all, describe what you're doing. Are you posting daily? Are you posting weekly? How often are you posting? And then let's talk about your right hooks. What are the posts that are actually generating leads? So let's start with that.
Okay, so the recipe, I'm going to go really quickly because there's so many things to say, but the recipe is you need to post daily. And people are like, why do you need to post daily? You have to. Out of sight, out of mind. And you do not want to post about work. The recipe is once every 2 weeks, maybe once a week at the most about work. And it's got to be a soft sell. And so I have a recipe, but it's every day. Every time you post, you need to like your own comments. And people say, why do you need to like your own comments? When I post and when I speak, they say it's egotistical. No, I'm spending time trying to build this business model. And so as a result, you need to like your own comments. You do it immediately because you have 70 seconds to be recognized. Otherwise, you start falling off other people's walls. I'm not leaving that to chance, hoping that you're going to like me. I'm going to have like myself because they haven't figured out the algorithm yet that I'm liking my own posts.
So you put a post up daily, and the second you post it, you like it because that activates the post and gets you more distribution. Did I get that right?
Yes, or inversely, the lack of being noticed in the first 70 seconds means it's not interesting enough content and it will fall to the wayside. So I want to make sure that there's some sort of action that occurred immediately.
Got it. So knowing that 70 seconds is an activation algorithm for Facebook, which I didn't know that, but I think you mentioned that before, makes sense. And then so that improves your distribution. You're doing, most of your posts are something about you personally. Guys, follow Larry. I'm not going to spend time talking about how he shares personally. I just recommend you follow him. Larry, when you do throw a right hook, kind of taking that Gary V jab, right hook, what is a soft sell? I mean, that's a subjective term. Give us some examples of times that you've posted things where you're asking for business or you're soft selling. What's that look like?
Well, I might go ahead and just say something along the lines of, hey, you know what, if you haven't had a chance to look under the hood, it might be time to reconsider that refinance that you've been thinking about, and let's just take a look at it. And going back to Mike's comment, getting a photo of your mortgage coupon would be exactly the way that I would go. But I have this recipe where I do a number of different things, and then once every 2 weeks, my only thing, everyone here is probably familiar with Zenix with Casey Cunningham, and she talks about know me, like me, trust me. And that's all I'm trying to do on Facebook. I want them to trust me, but how can they trust me if they don't like me? How can they like me if they don't know me? And so my whole thing on Facebook is creating some sort of know me, like me, trust me, so that I get there. And then once every 2 weeks, I want to establish credibility and reminding them that I'm in this business to serve them. I am not a believer. I was a believer in the beginning that when I go to a closing, I'll take a photograph of the clients. I think that's kind of using the clients in maybe a way that maybe they're only doing it because you put them on the spot. I don't like doing that. I'd rather remind people. Another way that I do it is I'll go ahead every week or every other week with Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, DPA, something like that. I'll say, oh, look at this, a new thing on FHA. And I'll take the HUD link and put it on there to remind people, again, I'm in this thing. What I'm doing is I'm educating, I'm not selling. And then what happens, every time I put something out there, I always say, PM me if you want some more information. The reason I do this is twofold. One, I want to encourage them to go ahead and do that. But number two, if no one responds, I don't want an empty wall. I just want everyone thinking that a million people have private messaged me.
So guys, you just got some huge tips. Post daily, throw the right hook asking for business, no more than weekly, but every 2 weeks. Ask for PM because you don't want to have a bunch of empty comments if people don't comment. So ask for the PM. And then guys, I highly recommend some other top mortgage coach professionals that kill it on Facebook. Denise Donahue, follow her. Josh Metal, follow him. Dan Keller, follow him, and just get your own voice. But there is a lot of business. When I think of Facebook, I just think it is a modern CRM platform. It's that simple. Like you have your email and text CRM, that is your actual CRM, and then you have your friend CRM. Call it your digital friend CRM. And I do think, and I believe in this world that we live in today, the mortgage professional with the most digital friends wins biggest. So you want to transition people from your real world conversations into your digital world conversation. And if, they're a millennial or they live on Instagram, I think that's a secondary platform that's trending and you should have that. But every mortgage professional, you should have a Facebook strategy where you're connecting with people, you're bringing them in, you're doing mostly personal, and then you're throwing some right hooks around business. One last question, Larry. You mentioned that you don't do the interviews anymore. You just felt it just didn't feel right for you. But do you ever share testimonials or reviews on social? Is there a way that you actually share?
What do you mean about interviews? I don't do the interviews.
Well, I think you said something about you don't put people on the spot at closings anymore.
Oh, yes. Right. I don't, because I don't want to, I do think that what you're saying is, as far as asking for the reviews on Google and Yelp, even on Facebook, I think asking for that's a different thing than having 8 people in a room.
But do you ever promote those on your Facebook group? Do you ever take positive feedback that comes in?
Always.
Digital reviews.
Always. Actually, I take it and I'll use it as aw shucks humility kind of thing. Really grateful that Dave Savage and I got to work together today. Blah 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 blah. It's an aw shucks kind of humility kind of way, but it also shows that I have gratitude as far as who I'm working with. Number one, number two, that I am doing business, and number three, reminding you that I'm in the business, and I like you to be part of that circle too, and I'll feature you sometime, thanking you for the business as well.
So I have a favor before we wrap this up. And again, you don't have to do it. It's just an ask. I would love for you, one, to enter the Bestimonial contest today and take one of those times on your Facebook feed that you showcased a person and push that, share it into the Mortgage Coach group with the hashtag Bestimonial. So that's one ask. Okay. I don't know if you're cool with it. You don't say yes, but if you do it, great. And then it would be great just to see an example of one of your right hooks, an example of when you ask for business in a soft sell way, Larry D-Tag way. It'd be great to have one of those in the Mortgage Coach group over the next couple of days.
Yeah, I'll be happy to. In fact, I posted one just this past week, and I got two referrals. In fact, before we were on today, I got a $447,000 refi just because of an aw shucks kind of reminding people that I'm in this business. And literally I sent the link out for the application. And I told them, I said, listen, my partner who does all the mortgage coaches, I said, do one. And the guy's like, no, if you're saving $300 a month, I don't need a mortgage coach. So whatever. I make every single refi go through there, except for the one that says, hey, I'm in hook, line, and sinker.
Right on. Well,
And just
Larry
let me
B-Tag.
throw out one more thing too, and you can do whatever. But at some point, if you want to have me back, I want to let you know that there's a lot of things coming down the pipe on Facebook for the 2020 algorithm. Major changes to get you noticed and to have you fade off.
Well, let's plan on that offline. Let's schedule a time for you either come to our Friday call, Tuesday call, or you and I will do an interview and bring that to the community. So
you bet.
Game on, brother. So Larry B-Tag, thank you, brother. I always appreciate your transparency and how much you give back to this community. Scott Nicholson, you are up to bat, my brother. Or actually, you're a golfer. You're on the tee.
I'm on the tee. On the first tee out of Yorba Linda.
So by the way, no one wants to go head-to-head with Scott on the tee. What's your handicap, Scott?
It's +1. Right in there.
+1. So you don't want to compete with Nicholson on the tee box. Yeah. So Scott,
that's why. Yeah, we only play scratch.
So
go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
So I want to position Scott as a consumer-first strategy. I think, as I've told everybody, you absolutely should make past customers your number one priority. You absolutely should have a financial advisor strategy. You absolutely should have a Facebook organic strategy. And I also firmly believe that there are riches in niches, and you should have at least one niche. Josh Metal is a great example in the mortgage coach community where, I mean, Josh, guys, is generating like 12,000 leads a year with websites around his niche. And I'm going to be interviewing more on that. Scott is taking one of his niches, which is seller buy downs, and he's created a website. And, it's a niche and it's a website and it's consumer first. So Scott, you and I have talked about this before, but let's assume not everybody has heard it. And then I also think you're perfecting what you're doing. So how would you describe how you're using websites to get to the consumer first?
Yeah, I think the point is I want to get it, and Josh dropped this the other day if you haven't heard his video. I actually was listening to it last night, and at the very end of the call, I forget who was coaching him, basically said, and you know me, I've always been a believer, I'm in space that really no one's in, because I don't want to just be everyone and battle and commoditize. So develop your skill set and get into a space that you can bring value. So Josh is doing his thing. That's the one thing. I'm an expert in the seller buy down. So how do I leverage that? How do I get to the direct consumer? And the one thing that probably the biggest hurdle in this space is about educating the consumer. What is it? How does it work? What do I need to do? And that's what spearheaded me to develop this whole thing out is I want to develop a site for the loan officer that we can educate the consumer, educate the client. So now with that said, is how do I utilize this to our conference here? How do I get to the consumer? How do I get to the agent to get those leads coming in? And so one important thing that in this conference is one thing that I want to point out for sure. I'm going to share my screen real quick. That's going to, hold on.
I'll tell you what I see.
Right? Okay. See it?
Boom. See it?
Yeah. So I don't care what you're doing, if it's financial planners or whatever space you're generating leads, there has to be a process. And this is something we didn't talk about. I'll talk about just 2 seconds. So the lead came in. Then I'll use this for an example. This is coming off our rental site. So this came off our rental site, my rental site. Lead came in Friday night, called her Saturday, developed a TCA. So in there, I'm giving them the clear message. I'm trying to build the trust and show confidence in that space, right? And in there, in the email, when I presented it to her, I gave it to her right, an hour after the call, I created a game plan and a call for action. So really, really simple. So you've got to make sure that, and what they want from you, because they don't know who you are or who I am, is that's why it's critical to get the TCA. Put it in just a really simple plan, because that consumer wants a plan. What do I do next? And the result is that client then filled an application out, and she got her homework on Monday. So I went lead Friday night to full application credit package on Monday. And so don't forget that part. You can be great at lead gen, you can be horrible at follow-up and converting. So make sure that's critical. So now let's go back to, I'm gonna go different on you just a little bit. I'm gonna go to the end, right? And I'm gonna work my way backwards. Can you see this little screen right here?
I love, yeah, I see it.
Okay, so I want everyone to pick their phone up right now. Pick up your phone. And I want you to enter that number. I want you to send a text. And that text is gonna come to me. So imagine you're the consumer. And here's the game plan. I'm taking the seller buy down strategy, right? And I've interweaved it into a weekend delivering rates and payments to the consumer. So text me this number, 714-447-7425. And I see everyone texting right now. Great. I'm going to respond to you. I'm going to ask you, what loan are you looking to get? And I want you to take the jumbo. Please take the jumbo in this example, because I did a little special video for you guys this morning. So select number 5. And when you pick jumbo, and I ask you what down you want, what down payment, select 2E. So what I just did here, so again, text me the number, I'm gonna auto respond, and I go, great, you're out shopping this weekend, tell me what product you want, jumbo, tell me what down payment you want, 15%, and I'm gonna deliver a total cost analysis to that consumer right there with me talking into it, and I'm going to deliver them this. So great, you guys are out shopping this weekend. So I want to go ahead and build the 15%. I'm going to give you options based on your credit. And also I'm going to work in that 4th column, the seller buy down. And in there, give them an example to where not everyone has perfect credit in the jumbo. What I did was, if we implemented the seller buy down, I saved them $829 a month, and that's from the first payment. Guys, so you know, don't call it, text it, because you guys are calling me. So text the number. That's the point. The sign's out in the weekend. I want you guys to text me. In this case, text jumbo, text 15%. And what I'm showing them here, if they reinvest it, so you see where I'm going here. So now all of a sudden, what have I created here? I've created a lead gen system off a strategy of the seller buy down. I'm delivering my most powerful message as a TCA directly to the consumer on a product they want, on a down payment they need, and interwove it with the seller buy down. And when you now, all you guys calling and texting me right now, I have all your information. And guess what? I can pick up the phone and call you back. I can also text you back. I have open dialogue with you now. Now let's say, hey, Scott, I love the 15%. Tell me more about the seller buy down. Guys, everyone on this call now text to the number SBD, seller buy down abbreviation, right? And so what's going to happen is I'm now going to deliver them to the my seller buy down site. Now I can start getting into the trust. And think of really what I did here. I want to lead gen for my agents. I want to get that consumer. I want to get in front of them. I don't care what they're shopping for. I can get them 75 different scenarios over the weekend. Who's in that space right now? Nobody. Who's going to be in that space right now in my area? Me. What am I doing for my agents? Lead genning. I'm building clients right now. I now want to take them to the email I just showed you. Get the lead, TCA, get them to application. Agent, we're ready to go. Let's now write offers on an FHA, a VA, or whatever. I've also interwove the seller buy down there because it's huge. Why does seller buy down work in this market? Is because inventory is starting to wobble. We're getting now to where the consumer has the ability to negotiate terms. And now I want to take them into that space. Again, I'm being different from everybody else. And that's the key there.
Scott, you have taken this to the next level, brother. You know, when you first started talking about the seller buy down, it was, you know, using the TCA to talk to realtors and be a guide to them. You know, like, hey, realtor, I'm going to help you sell a home that you're having a hard time sell. And guys, that's seller buy down 101. Scott's like on seller buy down 103. He's now taken it to where he's packaged his niche on a website.
Right.
You go to sellerBuyDown.com and check out what he's done and how he's packaged it. He's come up with an offline, you know, so non-digital way to get leads customer first, guys. We've got to get to the customer first. Realtors want us to. What are some, you know, knowing that we've only got about 3-4 more minutes, you know, what are some things around this strategy that you want to make sure you tell everybody?
Yeah, I whatever you do, I don't care, whatever you do, you have to have a niche. Like, and think of, like, for example, the pending lawsuits coming up, and it's going to change the landscape of real estate, especially on the agent side, right? So one, I need to be in purchase business. That's longevity. Number two, how do I position myself to add the greatest value, especially to listing agents, and get that listing? So they're not treating it as a commodity into their sellers. Also, too, if the buyer agent commission's being taken away or stripped or commoditized, you know, everyone's going to battle for getting that listing. This is part of the presentation I'm building into that. And I'll give it to you this way. I'll tell you a quick 2-second story. Last Saturday, not the past, last Saturday, I get a text. Hey, bud, I need your help. Sure. I'm at a pool party. Conversation came up with a big agent. She basically has a house at $2.679 million. Buyer came in at 2.4. Can you help us? I'm thinking, that's so bad. I got it's easy. So I got a little more details, created the TCA, shot it over, loved it. I got the buyer to, as their payment was down under like 90,000, no, or I should say 50,000 underneath that. I got them at 2.351 on the payment, perceived payment. Delivered it. The agent the next day, this is Sunday, she called, introduced herself, said it was an awesome presentation. Can I bring you in a conference call with the seller? Sure. Seller had some typical questions. His only big concern was, where does all that money go? It was a $112,000 seller concession. I explained how that works. Then go to us. It goes basically to capital markets. Long story short, I'm presenting in her office this Thursday with her entire team. She's a $100 million producer. In the same week, I get this. I get a past client from my best agent. Best agent, we're in escrow. We're basically appraisals and everything's done. And I get the call going, hey, Scott, I'm going to bank 123 because they're giving me this with $7,000 concession. Did a little bit of homework. It's true. I had to turn to him. I go, Jennifer, I appreciate the opportunity. I agree with you. I did it. And that's legit. And so I had to let that go. The point is, and I opened with the seller buy down with that transaction, couldn't get it accepted. It was a smaller price point. But that I don't want to be in that commoditizing space. I hate that space, selling conventional loans where all of a sudden they can go to this big box bank and basically cut my knees out for you and I do all this work for nothing. I want those text messages on Saturdays so I can go present to a $100 million producer this Thursday.
So, Scott, let's do this. We got to wrap it up. Show the website real quick. Pull up your website. I just want to make sure everybody sees his seller buy down. You guys can go to sellerbuydown.com and see, you know, how it works. There's a button that will tell you more how it works. If you want to become part of Scott's community, how do they reach out to you? Because I know you're making this a platform. You're providing some value to the mortgage coach community. What do they do? Yeah,
super simple. And so you can go to sellerbuydown.com, go join the network, and for $300, I will give you your own site, built, plug and play, built to you, built on your area, built to your city, ready to go with all the FAQs, educational, case studies, everything. And not only that, I've now included call action. So where I write the check, I include call action with her because I know having call action to seller buy down is huge. So you can become that yard sign guy. You can become that delivering of lead gen into that space. So you're going to get both. You get the seller buy down and the call action done.
Got it. So quick, share your screen just so we can all get on big pictures and wrap up today's call. So I hope you guys got a lot of value. Just click the stop sharing. screen, so your desktop stopped sharing. And so everybody on this call, I hope this was a valuable hour. I personally felt like it was, because I was moderating. I couldn't take notes. I hope everybody was taking notes, but we opened it up with financial advisor strategy. You got some great takeaways. If you have questions when I interview Craig again, let me know what those are. Comment down below, whether it's in the recording on Facebook or on YouTube. Let me know what questions you have for Craig. If you have questions for Michael, I know I'm going to be interviewing Michael again now. A lot of great questions came in. Let us know what those are. Larry, game on, buddy. I will definitely be interviewing you on organic Facebook. And Scott, we've been talking about this seller buy down for a long time. It's really cool to see how much you've evolved this platform. And thank you for making it available to the mortgage coach community. Everybody, hope you got value. If you got value from today's interview, give it a like. If you loved it, give it a love. Share it with your mortgage friends. And, I hope you guys got value. Have an awesome day and close the month strong. And let's kick ass in August, guys. Take care, everybody. This call's a wrap.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.